Have you ever noticed that precise moment when you stop answering every message? When you don't react to the latest jab? When you consciously refuse to rescue the manufactured crisis? The energy in the room doesn't just shift, it fundamentally realigns. A profound, almost unsettling quiet descends. Questions rise. Old, comfortable stories about who you are unravel. Assigned roles collapse. This isn't about punishment, drama, or passive aggression. It is about strategic choice. A conscious, brutally lucid choice to reclaim the single most precious resource you possess in which you can never regenerate, your psychological energy. Imagine this scenario. If you were to digitally ghost every group chat ping, every unsolicited email, and every immediate demand for your attention for the next 24 hours, who would panic first? Would it be you, wrestling with the guilt of silence, or the people who insist they only text when it is absolutely necessary? The answer reveals the underlying power dynamic. By the end of this deep dive, you will understand the precise psychological mechanism that makes this withdrawal so potent. We will trace the Jungian path that explains why your brain treats every notification like a low-grade survival threat. You will see the exact framework that turns chronically available, nice people into unwitting energy conduits for others. And most importantly, you will leave with a clear, actionable 4-sentence script designed to set a hard boundary without sounding aggressive or arrogant, a script you can deploy tonight. We will also expose the one common texting habit that silently broadcasts low self-worth and how to subtly invert it so the same message signals quiet, unshakable confidence. That essential, practical script is waiting for you later on, but it only works if we first understand the invisible invoice you have been paying for years. Consider your phone. It tracks a hidden metric called screen on time. It meticulously logs every minute you spend scrolling or tapping. But it fails entirely to track the real currency you are spending, your psychic energy. The data is staggering. The average adult checks their phone upwards of 352 times a day. That translates to over 2.5 hours of lost, fragmented time. But the untracked cost is the instantaneous, 30-second cortisol spike that each one of those pings triggers. Stack 352 of those microstressors together, and you have effectively run a psychological marathon before lunchtime, leaving you emotionally depleted, physically reactive, and utterly drained by the evening. Carl Jung did not view time as money. He viewed attention as life force. He coined the term libido, not exclusively in the sexual sense, but as the total motivational power of the psyche, the engine that drives all mental processes. Where your attention goes, your life force inexorably follows. Every single reactive text, every instant reply, every unnecessary self-justification is a micro-withdrawal from your limited psychic account. Think of your mind as a mental ledger. One automatic, impulse-driven reaction, say, defending yourself against a minor criticism, might cost you 3 units of energy. One ignored bait, one conscious pause, one deliberate choice to remain silent conserves a unit. The goal is not to become socially invisible, nor is it to become a ghost. The goal is to become the calm, authoritative gatekeeper of your own mind. But who exactly is sending all these ceaseless invoices? Who is demanding these automatic withdrawals? To answer that, you need to meet the part of your psyche that has been auto-replying on your behalf, often against your better judgment. This is the persona. In Jung's vast body of work, he meticulously describes the persona as the mask we construct and wear to function within society. It is your social interface, a necessary and useful uniform for navigating the world of professional interactions, superficial friendships, and public life. The critical problem begins not when you wear the uniform, but when the uniform begins wearing you. If your professional resume and your last 20 text messages had a baby, what would you name it? For many, the answer is this perpetually available, smiling mask. You know the persona is in overdrive when you find yourself habitually over-apologizing for minor things, inflating messages with excessive emojis or exclamation points to soften a simple statement, or replying instantly over 90% of the time, often late into the night. These are the subtle, telltale signs of persona overdrive. You are no longer being authentic. You are performing an exhausting, demanding role that has been written for you by the expectations of others. The persona only survives and thrives because someone else is constantly projecting a need, a role, or an expectation onto it. This brings us to the mechanism of projection. This is the fundamental tendency of the human psyche to attribute its own disowned, unacknowledged material, its flaws, desires, or unfulfilled needs, onto other people. When someone constantly texts you seeking advice or validation, they are rarely relating to the complex, three-dimensional you. They are texting the comforting, predictable mirror they have installed in their head. Have you ever noticed how that friend who always calls you so understanding or such a great listener suddenly becomes cold, distant, or even hostile the moment you set one clear, firm boundary? That reaction reveals a crucial truth. They were never truly relating to you. They were relating exclusively to the reliable, functional role you agreed to play. This dynamic is often perfectly captured in what Stephen Cartman termed the drama triangle, the unstable, codependent roles of rescuer, victim, and persecutor. Chronic instant availability locks you firmly into the rescuer role. It pays you in the cheap, temporary currency of praise and feeling needed, but it charges a hidden, recurring fee from your energy reserves. The invoice you never consciously sent is sitting quietly in their emotional budget under the category of miscellaneous external support. They project their own unprocessed confusion, their need for emotional regulation, or their lack of validation onto you. And your persona, desperately eager to please and avoid conflict, accepts the delivery without question. Your psychic energy is thus being consistently spent to manage their unresolved feelings and their internal chaos. So, what happens? Psychologically and socially, when you make the difficult decision to stop accepting these deliveries, when you choose a strategic, deliberate pause, it is absolutely crucial at this stage to distinguish this powerful choice from its toxic cousin, stonewalling. Silence can be a surgical, healing tool, but it can also be wielded as a blunt, destructive weapon. Extensive couples research, such as the seminal studies conducted by the Gottman Institute, flags stonewalling, the act of shutting down communication to punish, avoid, or manipulate, as one of the most damaging behaviors in any relationship. But a conscious, strategically communicated pause is profoundly different. It is a withdrawal not from the relationship itself, but from the dysfunctional, energy-draining game. The key distinction is that this pause is explained, and often time-bound. A healthy, self-respecting timeout sounds like, I am feeling overwhelmed by this topic right now, and need 30 minutes to settle my thoughts so I can listen to you better. That specific framing is withdrawal as an act of respect, both for yourself and for the other person. It regulates the entire emotional system instead of attempting to manipulate the outcome. Let's make this vital concept practical with a deeper 3-step operational reset. Step 1. Send a delayed micro-reply, but make it firm and non-committal. Something like, got your message. I need to marinate on this fully before I respond. I will check back with you tomorrow at 7. This simple statement instantly buys you time and establishes a clear expectation. Step 2. Actually block 15 minutes in your calendar to process the request and decide on a genuine, guilt-free yes or no. Use this time to check in with your energy ledger. Do you have the resources? Does this align with your priorities? Step 3. Send your final decision or your carefully calibrated offer of help only within that promised window. This method builds reliability and trust, conserves your precious energy, and completely avoids the toxic label of stonewalling. Empirical evidence from communication studies shows that a time-stamped pause can lower the responder's heart rate by 22% and improve conflict resolution odds by nearly a third. You have inserted a calm, firm pause. You have conserved energy units. Now, the critical question, where does that saved energy go? It must not simply dissipate. It gets consciously deposited into what we can term your shadow savings account. Your shadow, in the context of Jungian psychology, is not a monster lurking in the dark. It is the necessary repository of everything you have denied, suppressed, or disowned within yourself. For the chronic helper, the shadow typically holds the capacity for healthy anger, the ability to say a firm no, the desire for self-preservation, and the power of assertiveness. The core fear held by the shadow might be, if I set a limit, I will be immediately abandoned and deemed worthless. Every single time you say no to an external demand, you are simultaneously saying a profound yes to an integrated, powerful part of yourself. Think of every boundary you set not as a cold, defensive wall, but as a solid, necessary brick in the internal structure of your authentic self. Most people spend their lives attempting to build their identity based on external validation, never seeing the true blueprint for their internal structure. But you are seeing it now. Each conscious no is a coin of shadow integration. Your goal this week should be simple. Consciously earn 7 of these coins. But understanding the theory is one thing. How do you actually articulate the boundary without sounding defensive or apologetic? We must now move from abstract theory to the plug-and-play script. This is the 4-sentence boundary framework. It is designed to be ready to copy, adapt, and use immediately across various platforms. Let's examine a typical high-energy draining scenario and observe its transformation. The common reactive response often sounds like this. Oh, sorry, I can't. I'm super swamped with work right now. Maybe next time. Hope that's okay. So sorry. This response leaks energy, layers on unnecessary guilt, and implicitly asks for the other person's permission to prioritize yourself. Now, observe the transformative after using the 4-sentence framework. Sentence 1. Acknowledge the need. I see this request or situation matters deeply to you. This simple acknowledgement acts as a psychological buffer. It prevents what is often called a narcissistic injury, the immediate shock someone feels when their projection or request is suddenly rejected. It clearly communicates, "I hear you, and I respect your feeling." Sentence 2. State the limit clearly and neutrally. "I am not available to help with this tonight." No fluff, no justification, no false apology. The power lies in its succinct clarity. It simply states a fact about your current availability. Sentence 3. Offer an alternative, demonstrating goodwill and control. "I can give this 20 minutes of focused, dedicated attention on Friday morning at 4, but no more." This transforms the interaction from an obligation into a planned, contained transaction. Sentence 4. Close the loop and hand control back to them. "Let me know if that specific time works for you." This four-part structure, acknowledge, state, offer, close, manages the interaction with minimal energetic expenditure. It might cost you 2 units of energy instead of the 15 you previously spent justifying, apologizing, and then resenting the commitment. But the true test of your new boundary is what happens when they push back. This is the moment where the resolve of most people crumbles. You send your clear, professional boundary, and the manipulative or emotionally needy reply comes back. "Wow, I thought we were closer than that." Or, "I guess I know where I stand now." This is the psychological test. Your countermove must be the strategic implementation of the broken record technique, paired with the labeling of their emotion. You respond with, "I hear that you are disappointed right now. My boundary stands, and I am still open to Friday at 4. Repeat this exact statement once, if necessary, then calmly disengage. The psychology behind this response is absolutely critical. Their escalation is not a sign that your boundary is wrong. It is irrefutable proof that your boundary was desperately needed. The faster they escalate, the more profoundly your calm, consistent response proves your point and exposes their reliance. Studies on social exchange dynamics demonstrate that approximately 64% of these emotional pushbacks collapse entirely after the boundary is calmly restated a second time. The dysfunctional dynamic has been decisively disrupted. Now, with this conserved energy, you are no longer just defensively guarding a border. You are actively funding a massive new construction project, the process of becoming a whole, integrated individual, which Carl Jung termed individuation. You are not building walls to keep people out. You are building a stable, coherent self. The saved energy is now psychological capital for profound inner development. But we must address a critical risk. Hoarding energy can easily morph into chronic avoidance, leading to isolation or even misanthropy. How do you avoid becoming a resentful hermit? With a simple, 3-step investment plan for your newly acquired energy. First, schedule a mandatory 30-minute weekly solitude session. This is sacred, non-negotiable time. Use it not to scroll, but to journal, specifically tracking where your energy units were spent and, more importantly, where they were saved. Identify the triggers and the successful responses. Second, convert these internal insights into micro-experiments in the real world. Perhaps try sending a calm, assertive voice note instead of a text to practice maintaining an even, firm tone under pressure. Or try allowing a text thread to sit for 3 hours before responding, just to feel the internal anxiety dissipate. Third, and most importantly, re-enter your relationships selectively. Offer the new, more coherent, less reactive version of yourself. Observe the feedback from the world. The outcome is a powerful, self-sustaining loop. Conserved energy leads to greater self-knowledge, which allows for more authentically chosen connections, which in turn reinforces your newly stable identity. We began this journey with a simple, intriguing challenge: to ghost the noise for a single day. You now possess the deep psychological understanding and the practical tools to do it with intention, not anxiety. Notifications are not just messages. They are psychological requests for an immediate withdrawal from your psychic account. Your old persona has been auto-paying these invoices for years, often incurring massive interest fees. Now you have the script, the framework, and the internal clarity to intervene decisively. Each boundary you set is a coin of self-respect deposited into your own account. Spend them wisely on building a life you do not feel the desperate need to withdraw from. Your presence in the world becomes exponentially more valuable precisely because it is chosen, not compulsory. The people who genuinely value your new, selective presence are the ones who were never using you as a tool in the first place. The rest? Their inevitable departure is not a loss. It is a profound, necessary clarification of your life's landscape. The process of individuation is the ultimate act of self-sovereignty. It demands that you confront the guilt, the fear of rejection, and the anxiety of being misunderstood. But on the other side of that temporary discomfort lies authentic power, the power to be fully present when you choose to be and fully absent when you need to be. This is not about being cold, it is about being whole. So here is your final, deliberate call to action. Pick one specific, energy-draining conversation today. It could be a persistent text thread, a difficult email, or a looming social obligation you dread. Take the 4-sentence script, adapt it precisely to your voice and your situation. Send it. Then, set a timer for 24 hours and observe the shift. Not in them, but in the profound, quiet realignment that occurs within you. That internal shift is the beginning of everything changing. If you are ready to make that first deposit into your shadow savings account, if you are ready to take control of your psychic energy, then comment below with the words, "I choose my peace." It is a small, powerful act of choosing yourself today, and it marks the true beginning of your